Hello, welcome to today's craft. I thought I'd start off with mentioning that Monday, which will be the 15th, is International Granny Square Day. And I thought I'd have as my thumbnail this square that I did a couple of years ago. Bring it up so you can see the detail. This is called Winter Opulence and it's by Kristen Holloway. And I made this, I think it was about 2 years ago now, for one of the other International Granny Square Days. And as you can see, in 2 years I haven't done anything with it, but I really like it. So what you do for International Granny Square Day is you make a granny square. Now, most people know that a granny square is, your 3DC or trebles all the way around. But it doesn't have to be. As long as it's a square shape done with crochet, it's a granny square. This one is a bit far from a normal granny square, but I still like it. I couldn't believe this used a whole 200-gram ball to make, and I think I only had about that much left. It's a beautiful pattern, and I've put the link in the description if you'd like to make it yourself. There's also Simply Crochet Magazine, and I can't remember who the other person, please forgive me if you know who it is. No, put in the comments. But they're doing a virtual granny square quilt or blanket on Instagram, and all you have to do is to take a photo of your square, trim out all background so you can only see the square, and then you put it up on Instagram and you hashtag it with International Granny Square, and it will be added to the quilt. I think you can also hashtag it with virtual blanket, granny square blanket. But yeah, on my page I will put a link to the details about doing the virtual blanket if you want to join in, and then your square will be added to the blanket and you can go and see everybody's squares on Monday. So that I thought would be a nice thing. Sorry about my crackly voice. Allergies have come in already. So next thing is we are doing the next part of our little gecko. If you remember last week, we started him off. We had our magic ring at the end. We did his little knobs for his eyes. And we just stopped where we'd finished decreasing and we started increasing for the shoulders and end of the neck. So today we're going to be putting his eyes in, because in the pattern it says right after you've before you do the last bit, you put the eyes in with no stuffing. And it also says to put them in between rounds 10 and 11. So we need to find out where that is. I think it'll be here just before those increases, but I could be wrong. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All the way back there. That doesn't look right. I reckon it would be there. So that's between 10 and 9. That's where I'd be putting them, because then you've got the increase. You know what? I am going to do that. I'm going to put them there. This is what I use to spread the yarn without cutting it to get eyes in. So you just push and see how it's getting bigger. You push it and it spreads apart your stitches without cutting them. And the eyes I'll be using are these safety eyes. Oops, sorry, hit the stand. If you can see them. If you look at a safety eye, they have little ridges here. And your second part is the backing. Now, the new safety eyes have a plastic backing. And it's like a little cup shape. Little concave, yes, because you're looking into it. And what you need to do is you need to put it on that way with going into the cave. If you put it on the other way, the fabric will come away from the eye and it won't look right. If you put it on this way, this ridge will pull the fabric around to make a little bit of an eyelid for you and set the eye in. So what we're going to do, we'll do that now. So, like I said, most patterns are how the designer makes them. So you can adjust where the eyes are, what sewing you do to shape the face, because it's your thing. So I like to put them near an increase because then it means it'll like cup around them a little. So I'll do this eye first. So you push this just a little bit. You poke the eye in. And you see how that's cupping around it a little bit? And I haven't even put the back on yet. Before I go any further, another thing you can do, if you want the colour to show out better, is you get a little piece of, it's vanished. Is it stuck on my arm? No. Okay. All right. Well, you can get a little bit of, I don't know where it's gone. I did have it. Is it on the floor? It's totally vanished. You can get a little piece of felt in white or whatever colour you like. I wonder if I can do it with a bit of paper so you can see. I'm not going to be doing it on this one, but get myself a little bit of paper just so you can see what the effect is. Torn off 6 pieces of paper. You use felt, poke a little hole in it, put your eye through that first, and then use your scissors to trim up close to it. You don't have to be smaller than it, you just need to be close. All right, so it's not great, but I'm just showing you the effect. And then you push it into where you want it. And what it does is it allows you to see the colour a bit better if your yarn is darker than the colour on the back of the eye. You just put a bit of white felt behind it, or material. Felt's a bit easier because it's stiffer. But can you see the colour better if I put the one in the other side? So I haven't put the... All right, so that's just pushing that through. You see the difference? That one's like got a more yellow tint, whereas this one is a more orange tint, and that's because of the white paper behind it. I'm not actually doing that this time, but I just thought I'd tell you. So take that out so I can take my paper off. Don't want to use paper because if you're intending giving your toy to a child, it'll have to be washed. So you put the eye in. Just push it through. Then we turn the head out this way, and you see the ridges. So then we get a little back thing, and we push it on. This is why you do this now, because it's nearly impossible to do it later. And you've got to push it past the ridges. You want to at least get it past 1. 2 is ideal. 3 is phenomenal. So we're really lucky. And there's one eye in. And this is a safety eye. So this is now safe for children. So we get our little stick. Push the hole a little bit bigger. You do not ever want to cut it. Do not cut crochet. You will regret it for the rest of your life. Well, not the rest of your life, but it's not a good idea. And you can hear it clicking through. So how many did we get that time? We only got 2 that time. I wonder if we can get the 3rd one. No, can't. Oh, hang on. Well, that is amazing. Normally you can only get 2. All right, so there is the eyes for our little gecko. They're in. And I've managed to put them below the widest part of those brow ridges. So when I stuff it, they'll come over a little bit and give him like a eyebrows or ridges. All right, the next thing we want to do is we want to stuff the head. So I use polyfill. Did we have a chopstick here? Yes, we do. I'll just get my chopstick. All right. You can tell I'm organised. Back up my chair. All right. So we need to stuff, and we're only going to stuff to this ridge that we can see here that we only did in the back loop. Can you see that line there? It looks a little bit different. Not the back loop, we did them in the front loop, but anyway. So you always start with small amounts of stuffing, and you want to compress it a little bit. So I wound it around a chopstick. This is how we used to do it when I made cloth art dolls. And then push it in. And you want to try and hold it right down on the nose. So pinch above it. Right, you won't be able to do much before there, but if you try and compress all of them, they will spread out in the within the piece you're doing. They'll have a bit of a spring to them. And now this stuff is hypoallergenic. I think it's actually full acrylic. I'm not sure on that. Oh, hang on. No, it might be polyester. I'm not sure. But it's the toy fill you can buy in the shops. So you just compress it around a stick and push it in. You want to stuff the head very firmly, because what happens with this stuff is it decompresses. And then it mats up, and then your toy goes all floppy and well loved. But you want to start off with it fairly firm. All right, so now if you look behind, you can just see the back prongs of the safety eyes. And so that's his nose filling out. He might look like a bit of a balloon at the moment, but we can do some soft needle sculpture after he's finished, just to bring all his features back. So we'll keep going. We're not near the end yet. I figured out what the problem was last week. Is there was a pair of speakers into the back. I'm not used to having speakers, and they were doing a bit of feedback on my sound. I do apologise. Here we go. Keep pushing it in. You're going to put at least 3 times as much stuffing as you think in amigurumi, and they're generally made from cotton so that you can push against them. If you make it, you can make them from acrylics, but you need to watch you don't overstuff acrylics. It's a very fine line. You want to, with acrylics, I find, need to go at least one more hook size smaller than you think, because acrylics are soft and they stretch. Okay, so we've got his little nose done. He hasn't got a very big nose, but like I said, we can needle sculpture that later. So we're nearly there. We're just a little bit behind that ridge, so a little bit more. Wind it around your chopstick. I use a chopstick. I use a wooden one, not a lacquered one. That way it grips a little bit and allows you to wind. So it makes a little sausage. You poke it in where you need it and pull it off the sausage. And that way it compresses into the area you need it. I used to make cloth art dolls, and this is how we did fingers and nose. What do you call it? The line of the nose. What do you call the line of the nose? Bridge? I think it's nose bridges. So you can put your finger on the end and push it right there you want it, and then push it off the end, and it's in exactly the right space. Okay, his little fat little head, a little bit more. So you put your thumb on the end and wind. There we go, a little fat sausage. Hold the end. Need a bit more in his chin, I think, and lay it where you want it. Okay, that's probably enough. We will be adding more. Oh, hang on, maybe a little bit up there. You stretch it as you go, similar to how when you're spinning a little fat sausage. And push it up, because we definitely want the brow ridges to stay. So we need to put stuffing in them now. And this fibre, it does grip within your work. So you see how that's not popping out? I've compressed it enough that it will stay in. It may shift a little bit as you do the rest of the work, but you can keep pushing it down. You keep your chopstick handy and it will stay there. So that's that done. Eyes are in, and we head and body as you work. Right, so we're now on to row 19. Now, this is our marker from last week. So this is our marker thread, as you can see. It's all the way along. Pull that like that. Take off our stitch marker. And we're ready to go again. We are just doing 1 DC all around. Now, if you remember from last week, this pattern is in UK terms, so there's no such thing as single crochet in UK terms. This is called a DC. And the difference between UK and US terms is the UK terms refer to how many loops you have on the hook before you pull them through. The US terms, they call this single crochet because there's a single pull through. So the UK terms are what you're going to do, and the US terms are what you are doing. If that makes sense to you. Took me a while to figure that out, and I think somebody also mentioned it to me as well. And once I thought about it, well, that's true. That's true. I'll put this up so you can still see. So we're keeping the tension. Somebody asked me last week how I hold my yarn. I have my finger here, like that, and then like that. It's very similar to how you knit, because knitting's what I first learned. I learned knitting before I learned crochet. So I do the same hold as I do in knitting, but on the opposite hand. Of course, it would be opposite if you're left-handed. If you ever want to teach someone how to do anything that is left-handed and you're right-handed, just put a mirror and let them watch the mirror. Put a mirror in front of you and let them watch the mirror. That's what I've been told. I think I did. When I was making teddy bears, I had a left-handed lady, and she found it very awkward. And I just said, just do what feels comfortable. Some people, they learn like off YouTube and that, and they learn the right way of doing it because they've never done it before. They haven't got a preconceived, I should do this with my left hand or I should do this with my right hand. Do what's comfortable. All right, so that is our whole row around. Flip this back through. So much better than having a stitch marker there and in the way. It's just a contrasting piece of thread. This one's a little bit shinier. Turn it, and you see the stitches? It went sideways a bit there because that row that we did on the front loop pulls it across. It's still in the right place. Okay, next one. We do 3 DCs. 1, 2, 3. 2 DC in the next stitch. 1, 2. Right, so we're expanding for the shoulders now. That's a very short neck, 3-row neck. So 1, 2. Keep it bringing it up. Keep dropping it. I apologize. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Here's our first one that's there. So 1, 2, 3. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 gets me back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's our first increase row, working up to the shoulders. Flip that over again. Alright. Right, so the next 3 rows, we're just going around flat. Now, put myself a little piece of paper, otherwise I will forget. Yeah, so basically we're working on, alright, so the whole body of this iguana is going to look like a tadpole with a separate head. That is what usually happens. You make the whole body, then you make the legs and put them on afterwards. So this is probably going to be a bit boring. So yeah, I'll just keep going. If somebody wants to ask the question, you can. If not, that's fine. You can just watch. I'll try and bring it up closer so you can see. In case anybody hasn't watched the video, I have done a video on how to hold your hook for best not catching on yarns and threads. Cotton's quite good for not catching, but some of the other threads, unless you're holding your hook the right way or the appropriate way, it will catch. And most good quality hooks have what they have. Let's see if I can pull it out. Hold that. If you look at your hook, you've got a flat spot for your thumb. I'll hold it like that so you can see it's flat there. And that lines up with the hook. So the hook needs to be in line. Hold it like that and go get the angle right. And you see that the flat spot is in line with the hook. My finger's in the way. See, the flat spot's in line. And I found a couple of times now, people have been teaching and they're having so much trouble and crochet's not for me, it's driving me nuts. And the hook they're using, the hook itself is not in line with the thumb. You need it in line because when you make your loop, it makes like an upside down teardrop. So you need the point of the hook to come through the bottom of that teardrop. And if they're not in line, you can have all sorts of trouble. So just one thing to consider. You can use any hooks you like. It doesn't matter as long as the hook itself is in line with the thumb rest. Some of the cheaper hooks don't even have a flat spot, and that makes it very difficult, especially if you're learning, to find out that it's just not centered to where it needs to be. The hook I'm using is a Clover Amour, and it's a 3mm, and I'm using 8-ply cotton. So that goes to show you, most of the time 8-ply you use a 4mm or a 4.5, but for amigurumi you need to be 2 to 3 sizes smaller than what you would normally use. Alright, that is just about the end of our first plain row. Bring it up higher. I'm trying to go slower. I got told last time I was a little bit quick. There we go. Flip that through. Mark our bit of paper. We'll do number 1 because we know we need to do 3. Always have a little piece of paper nearby while you're crocheting, especially a pattern. If it's one that you just keep going until you run out of yarn, it doesn't matter. But when you're doing a pattern, you need to keep track. And I am loving how this yarn is making bands on my iguana. Saves me cutting and pasting and joining and weaving in ends. I just can keep going and the colours put themselves in. I think this second row is the apex of his shoulder. We are going to do one more row, and I'd say that would be the beginning of his torso, tummy torso. Okay, getting there. And for his nose, I had a look online for what iguanas' faces look like, and that's why I used those eyes. Iguanas don't have eyes like snakes, which is what I thought they did. They have normal pupil and iris eyes. There's all different kinds, but they're not slitted like a snake. So that was good because I only have glow-in-the-dark snake ones, and I'm sure I'd be told if they were incorrect. And for his nose, I'm just going to do 2 little French knots. Now, let's find out where this is. There it is down there. Most amigurumi is made with a DC or single crochet stitch. There is the exception. I've seen some patterns they use a bobble or a bean stitch for like textural parts. Like I've done a little crocodile that had bean stitch for the back of his scales. So if you look at our iguana, he's a banded iguana. And if you look on the pattern, he was banded too, but they're changing colours. I'm not doing that. I'm lazy. I'll let the yarn do it. Okay, we are doing that one. Put my ruler back on the bit I was doing. So this is my second row. 2. And then 1 more. And go all the way around. What else did I want to say? So I will be doing a square for International Granny Square Day. And if you like, next week I will start it off with the one picture and show you the one I did. And I'll give you a link to what pattern I end up using. Haven't totally decided what one I want to do yet. I've got tomorrow to figure it out, and I'll do it on Monday and upload it. I think I'll do something with a bit of colour into it. Maybe some fancy stitches. I'm only making a square. And then I was thinking, what do I do with it after? Because I've had that other one for 2 years now and I haven't done anything. I think I might make it in cotton and then just put a plain solid granny on the back and make a pot mitt. At least it'll be used. I might even put it as a Christmas present for someone. That might be an idea. Think who I know and what colour their kitchen is and make them a pot. Go in their Christmas bucket. Yeah. That's what I do Christmas. I get every family a bucket and then I put biscuits and presents and all that in the bucket and then cut a circle for a lid and then wrap the lid piece in Christmas paper. Wrapping and useful object all in one. Makes it easy to carry to Christmas Day too. And they get a bucket. Around now all the buckets are cheap in the shop, so I get them a pretty colour bucket. Okay, flip that through for the next row. Right, so that's our three rows with no increases or decreases. So it's got a dip for the neck and coming up to the shoulders. So that's our third one. So we've done that one. So we've got 2 DC in the next stitch. 1, 2, and then 1. So do that again. 1, 2, and then 1. Right, and then 32 DC. Okay. Excuse me while I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. One DC. Now, I've just realised somewhere there's either a mistake in the pattern or I've done a mistake. It doesn't matter which way. But I am 3 stitches short because I needed to do that twice and I've only been able to do it once. I'm not going to frog it, pull it out, because the next instructions are 3 rows, no change, same as before. So what I'll do is I will add 1 stitch in this area. So where's the second one? All right, so there's our 2 increases. So they were reversed? Yes, they're reversed, so that's why they're looking a little bit weird. I will put them on this side because I've already done the ones on this side. So it looks like we're giving him a bit of a belly here. We're only increasing at the bottom. So I'm not going to frog it. All I will do is every row for the next 3 rows, I will add 1 stitch. Actually, no, I might do it on the next row because otherwise it'll be too far back. So you can, because my next 3 rows are plain, I can add them in. And I try to do them as close as possible to where they should be because this is a shaped amigurumi. This is not, see, some amigurumi are shaped as you go. Some are shaped when you add the legs and appendages. And some are done with needle sculpting afterwards. This one is a shaped amigurumi. And you do the contouring as you go. I always do some needle sculpting afterwards, especially on the face, just to define the features a bit better. But it allows you in the plain rows to fix any mistakes that you've made. Or, yeah, I don't know where it happened. I've got a feeling it might have been closer back to the neck. But it's not a problem. We can make it correct. So I'm missing 3 stitches. So as I get around here, I hate how it blurs while I concentrate. I'm sorry. At least it looks like it's blurring. I'm not slowing down here because it is just plain DC you're just doing one in each one. You're going through both stitches. So I don't think I need to slow down to show you something I'm doing hundreds of times. So we're nearly back to the start. We have got one in. We just need to do another one, but we are missing 3 stitches. So what I will do is we'll do 2 stitches in this one. And actually, no, we're not missing 3. We're missing 2. So we'll do this one. And then we'll do 2 stitches in that one. And that should make our count correct. Flip the marker across. And do the first stitch just to hold in place. And mark off that as the first row. So if we've done that correctly, we should have 44 stitches in total. So that's one already. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Yeah. Alright, I will have to do a second one here because it's not 44. Now it is. So now I have the right count again. It's funny how they've put it there, because I would have thought there would have been better, about 3 stitches over. So what I might do, this is only because I think so, on this last row I shall add one just a little bit along to, right, in this one I think that's that one line, maybe one more here, 1, 2, yeah, now it's right. Yeah, so you can do that. I tried to put the increase almost directly below his nose, because I'd say this is the increasing for his tummy. And if you look, all our stuffing has stayed there. That's because we compressed it around the chopstick. That's the word. All right, so we got to mark off that we've done number 2. And now our numbers are right, so we just carry on and finish this last row. Not last row, but next row. Okay. And I apologise for the radio last week. I didn't realise it was as loud as the microphone picked it up. It was weird because it wasn't really that loud here. But I could hear it, and I can't hear what you're hearing until I publish it. So hopefully this one's a lot better. It should be. Now this iguana is actually turning out quite a bit bigger than I thought it would be. It's not terrible. I actually did want it smaller. So what I might do, I've got to finish a knitted vest in this week. If I have time, I will get a thinner, smaller, thinner cotton and restart this in a tinier one, because I wanted a gecko the size of my hand. And this guy is almost already bigger than my hand, so he's not really tiny. And I might do it in rainbow thread because I wanted a rainbow iguana. So I might look at doing that during the week. At least get it started, and I can show you next week what I've done so far. It will be the same pattern. I'm not changing the pattern. I'm just going to use a smaller thread and hook to make a smaller iguana. And we are back where we started. Flip the thread through and do the first stitch just to hold it in place. Alright, so if you can see now, he's got a bit of a dip at the bottom because that's where all the increases are. This is the top of his head. This is his belly. So we are giving him a belly, which is nice. Right, 5 to 6 to 7, we've done that. Oh, we do 4, so we do another one. This is terribly exciting. We're just doing DCs, rows upon rows of DCs. That's alright. That's what happens with amigurumi. Vast stretches of the same thing. So I was also going to say what things I have on the go this week craft-wise. As I said, I've got a vest I want to finish. I only started it in 2014, so I think it's gone on long enough. I did put it away for a couple of years when we moved, and I found it again, and I thought, I've got to finish it before his body's changed too much to be able to wear it. And what else have I got going? I've got Joan Crowfoot's Indigo Dreams blanket. That's really beautiful. What have I got to do on that? I've got to do the fancy squares. I've done all the plain and plain and boring ones that are one colour or two colour. I've just got to do the flower squares. What else have I got to do this week? Oh, that's right. I've got a cowl to do in the lounge room. See, I don't know about you, but I have projects for different pastimes. Like I'm making the gecko with you guys. Gecko, I keep calling him a gecko. He's an iguana. I make the iguana with you guys on a Saturday. I've got a project in the lounge room for when I don't feel like watching telly. I've got a project I take with me if I have to go into town, because what happens is I hitch a ride with my husband early in the morning, and I go and have a cup of coffee and a toasted sandwich while I wait for the shops to open, because he starts quite early. So I take a project with me to do in McDonald's, and that's my McDonald's cardigan I'm making. Not in McDonald's colours or with it on it, but I only do it when I'm in McDonald's. All right, so that's the next row done. All right, we're decreasing. Okay. So the next row we're decreasing, so we must have finished his shoulders. So we do 6 DCs. 1, that's 2 actually. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 DC 2 together. Now, if you remember, with amigurumi, you do it in the front loops only. You see, I've only got the front loop, and you pull it towards the last stitch you did, and it closes it up. It puts a little bar on the back where you haven't done that stitch, and then we do DC 2, 1, 2. All right, now that's our repeat, and we do this 4 times. Okay, it's a little bit weird. It's not really in the middle. Okay, whatever. Okay, so DC 2 together. Two together, and then 2 D6. 1, 2. So that's twice. We're going to do it 4 times. DC 2 together, only through the front loops. 2 D6. 1, 2. And then our last one. 1, 2. And then 2 D6. Always do what's in the bracket. So that should be 4 from where we started. So we did the 6 first, and then we did a decrease 2. So that's 1. Decrease 2. That's 2. Decrease 2. That's 3. That's 4. Right. That's what it says. Now we do. Oh, bugger. I'm going to have to undo that. I thought it looked weird. Didn't I say it looked weird? Okay, so we've got 6. It's not 6. It's 16. That makes more sense. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Definitely makes more sense. So what we're doing now, I'm here. We've got to do 4 lots of decreasing, which will bring his back in behind his shoulders. That makes lots more sense. So that's me not reading it properly. Because the pattern's a little bit far away, I missed the 1. So that's 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. Pull it across to your last stitch. 1, 2, and my last one. That one, that one, and then pull it across back to your last stitch. So you want this one here, this last one loop we picked up, you want that straight up and down. 1 and 2. Right, so hold him on his side. Do you see how it's bumping up and now it's dipping down? So this is his shoulders. So I'm hazarding a guess we'll be putting his legs about there, I'm thinking. So we do 12 stitches and we should be back to where we started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And we're back where we started. All right, so what I might do, so I'm not boring you to tears, put my stitch marker on. We will stuff this little bit here. There's our chopstick. Remember, wind it up to make a little sausage so that it expands after we push it in. Push it down, try and lock it in. Yep. You can just, when it's a big part of the thing, you can just do that and then use the thick end of the chopstick to put it down. But I do like to do the sausages at least in the head so that they keep it firm. So a bit more. Because it's the bulkiest part of the piece that you're making, you can use it not compressed, but you do need to push it down. But don't push it down so much that you lose your shape. I mean, you can soft sculpture it back in afterwards if that really happens. Now we want to make sure we put enough above the safety eyes that the prongs at the back are facing down. So just push on the eye and stuff above it. You see how we got that? We need that because what we're going to do when he's more finished, we're going to pull them in a bit so they sink, and we're going to sew a lash above them, and then we're going to put his little nostrils in. So we need to have the wadding or stuffing behind it. So I just put all that in there and it's all gone into the head. But we've managed to shape him a little bit. He will need to have his nose up a bit more, but that's pretty much right. So I think that will stop today. We just hit just under an hour. I think that'll do. So I'll join you again next Saturday. Bye.